Hi guys, this is week 4 of the build and we are about to go 3D. That's right, all the parts are ready to start assembling the hull. If you remember, last week I coated most panels on one side, and since then I have finished that job, coating the panels on the other side and start sanding them. This is now pretty much how it's going to be until the varnish time or paint. I still haven't decided on the interior what I'm going to do, and there's a few tips I want to share with you, so take a look at how this went. Okay, now it's a time when you think, oh no, I'm going to destroy my nice shiny perfect epoxy finish. Well, as soon as you start sanding it, you'll see that it's not that perfect. So the aim here is to get rid of all the gloss, the shiny stuff, because paint will not adhere to, or even other epoxy won't adhere to that gloss. Of course, you cannot get rid of all of that, because the epoxy finish isn't perfect. There's still shiny spots all over the place. But I will not keep insisting with the sander, or I will get rid of most of the epoxy. I will instead use a Scotch-Brite pad and I will score this shiny stuff out, and then I'll varnish over it. Hopefully the varnish will just fill in the micro imperfections here. Here on these edges, I don't recommend using sandpaper at all. If you just grab the Scotch-Brite pad, score this till you get rid of all the gloss, that will be enough, and you don't have the risk of actually going to the wood with the sandpaper. Sometimes when you coat the panels, especially if it's too humid, you will get like a waxy substance on the surface. That will clog your sand disc straight away. What you have to do before you sand it is grab Scotch-Brite and water with dish soap and just wash the panels until you get rid of all that yellow wax stuff. In my case, there's no wax whatsoever. I waited for the sunny days to apply the coating so I can go straight to sanding. And I'm going to do this big one. You're going to see again that this finish is far from perfect, although it's nice and shiny. But I'll use the 120 grit disc and you'll see. And this is the hardest part of the build. That's that, guys. This is good enough. As you can see, this was not masked on purpose. Whatever the case might be, on purpose because you forgot or you didn't want to mask it in the first place, it does not matter. What you should do to make sure that fillet is gonna hold here properly, make sure there's no gloss whatsoever in this area. And if you think getting rid of the gloss isn't enough, you can take it to the plywood again. Okay, so we're ready to start assembling this. I've never done this before. This is the first time I'm going to do a filleting method bolts. The designer, Michael Storer, sent me a few tips and some short video clips of the guys in the Philippines assembling one of these using the filleting method. Thanks Michael, thanks guys, you rock. So I'll have a go. Like I said, I'm not a professional, I'm just an amateur. It's the second boat I build. Let's see how it goes. Okay, here in the plans, in this version of the plans, it says I should start by attaching the bow and the transom to the cockpit side panels. That's not the way I'm going to start. Looking at some of the clips Michael sent me, they also did not start that way. They started with the forward bulkheads and the center case bulkhead. So I think that is a much better way. because I will not be fighting that end of the boat all flimsy while I try to attach the bow, or vice versa. So let's start with the center case bulkhead. So to temporarily hold this to the cockpit side panels, I'm gonna have to make 3 holes, one there, and another one there. They're probably 3 mil diameter, and they will be 5 mil from the edge. That's 5 mil from the edge of the hole, not the center of the hole, which is the same as to say it's about 6.5. So let's call it 7 mil from the edge. 7 millimeters from the edge. And the same on the other side. We've got our bulkhead lines there, which I left under the epoxy, so these will always be visible because this doesn't come all the way to the gunnel. Well, not gunnel, this is the inner tanks. Anyway, I will have some dash lines on my skiff forever. Think twice before you coat your panels. So this dash line here, which is the bulkhead position, for this face, or the back facing face of the plywood, like that. Okay, now transfer these lines. Okay, we can put a line here as well. Now that we have both sides drilled, we need to put some zip ties through there. As you can see, it holds. Okay, now I need to remove these sawhorse. And that's the first one done. Easy peasy. Now do the same for this one. Okay, I need to get that 405 reference line again, because I removed it when I epoxied it, which I didn't have to. Instead, I left the ones that actually are visible. Okay, so these were the reference lines. This is the plywood thickness, so we need 2 holes there and 2 holes there. And now with the bow, exactly the same. 3 little holes there, 3 little holes here, here, and here. Right, only 2 panels to go now. Ah. And now I need to line up the edge of the plywood here on the top. I'll show you in a minute. This edge of the plywood needs to be aligned with this edge. See, there's a gap here because if you're using the timber frame method, you should only have a few mil here. If anything, I wouldn't have cut this piece. I would leave it all the way here. This will line up the edges perfectly, and then I could cut it flush with this one. Although this is going to take a round here, but it would be easier if I hadn't cut this. Okay, everything is aligned at the transom and at the bow, so I can transfer these lines to the panel. And that's that. Yeah, all the panels are zip tight apart from the bottom, but that I'll do it tomorrow. So a quick midweek recap. It took about 3 hours coating and sanding the rest of the panels, and yesterday it took me about 3 hours to get this thing put together as it is with the cable ties. And that includes getting rid of the old workbenches and tables and stuff and setting this up. And today I'm gonna have to find a way of actually turning this upside down on my own. So let's start by making this a bit more stable. And by the way, guys, thank you very much. We have achieved the $1,000 goal I had on the Buy Me a Coffee page. Thank you so much. You guys have bought me enough coffees to guarantee that I will finish this hull. The only thing left now is the rigging, the spars, the sail. But I will not set any goals for that. You guys helped already so much. You made this build possible. I can't thank you enough. So from now on, any coffees you might want to buy me will go towards that or making and creating content for this channel. I will never use any of these coffees to buy anything for personal use other than the boat and creating content. And talking about buying, I just went out shopping and I've got some glass tape for the inside, 2 buckets of microfibers, and some acetone. And that was a total of 32 euros plus VAT. So a friend of mine lent me these squares. They're very handy, they lock the boat. But you can just as well do this with any piece of plywood. Make sure everything is roughly square for now. And the bottom as well. Now let's see if I can turn it without breaking it. Okay, the boat is extremely light. holding these two, that's the pivoting points. Okay, I've removed the bottom clamp. Okay. Yeah, maybe you want to drive the pins a bit more than this. Okay. Not without a few hiccups, but it's upside down. If you're using the timber frame method, by now you might actually have all these parts glued together already before you put the bottom. Obviously do a dry run first, make sure everything is correct before you start making glue and gluing parts in the wrong places or wrong parts. I'm not doing the timber frame method, I'm using the filleting method, so all this is just held by cable ties, and now I need to put the bottom on top of this. I'm going to start with the zip ties on the bow, and then I have to put some zip ties here on the bulkheads. Here on the plans it suggests you start with the zip ties and then you should use duct tape to further secure the sides to the bottom. I don't know how it's going to go, to be honest. I think the zip ties are stronger, but we can't have too many because then you have bumps every time you're doing the fillet. You're going to have a bump on the zip tie. Although on the interior of the tanks it's not that important. So let's see how it goes. Okay, so I'm putting these zip ties at 300 mil apart. So here I might do a bit more than 300 here actually. I'll go for 350. It's middle of the tank, and again 350. Now here let's do 400. Now the holes need to be at 6 millimeters from the edge of the plywood. Okay, and now a tricky bit. Get that bottom on here on my own. Not too bad. Okay, yeah, put that spacer there, holding the two, so I could lean the plywood against this without breaking this panel. Okay, now we need to transfer all these marks to the bottom and make holes to match. Now I'm going underneath to secure this to the first bulkhead. And look, magically that just lined up perfect. Okay, I should have checked that this bulkhead wasn't bowing or anything. Okay, so it was a bit, because that's further apart. Alright. Okay, these are all done on the outer panels. Time to go under and start drilling for the inside side panel. If you remember, this is the reference line. This is not where the panel is supposed to be. This is a visual aid, so you can keep it aligned. And I'll just keep going until you reach the transom. Now I'm going to trim this excess, because these sheets were too big. They're the 2.5 meter sheets, so I'm going to cut this almost to size. Okay, before I cut it, I'm going to put a hole here, another one in the middle, put it down and check that the hole is actually on this side of the transom. Yep. Okay, that's it for cable ties, at least for now. I need to turn this upside down. When Marina gets home, maybe she can give me a hand with that. There's still one thing I haven't checked. It's about 4 mil, 2 mil, nothing. Okay, this area here, 3 to 4 mil. I don't think that's a problem whatsoever. Yeah, like that's all I've got time for this week, guys. Next week we'll start with the filleting. See you soon.